Welcome back. Today I want to look at the topic which I think was the most important topic in my book, which is called God is the Side of Kindness. That's the most important chapter, and yet it was the last chapter because I wanted to pull everything together into that chapter, and that's the one I want to look at today. I want to first start with the idea that in all of our lives, I'm sure, at a certain time, everyone is filled with doubt, or doubt might take over what we are doing, or what we are saying, or what we are living. Whether it's a doubt about a new job, or buying a new home, or moving to a new location, or maybe just plain doubt about life itself. And we may ask ourselves, is this really all there is? Is what I have been doing really going to make a difference? And does God really care? Or does God even exist? And if God does exist, why is there so much suffering in the world? And that is a question that I'm sure that all of us might be asking one time or another. So who is this God? What image do I have of God? Is God the just judge? Is God the silent God who allows suffering? Or is it the God who is on the side of kindness? This is the time I found myself turning to Scripture when I asked that question, who is this God? Because Scripture, I think, is what tells us who and what this God is like. And what do the Scriptures then say? And what does Jesus tell us about who God is? And I think it's the life of Jesus that tells us that we see the face of God when we care for one another in love and generosity and tenderness and selflessness and self-giving. Jesus wanted people to know that if they see the face of God in loving and caring for their neighbor, then they will discover that God is in their midst. We don't have to look far to find God. That's what Jesus tells us. Jesus tells us that where there is love, there is God. God is here in our loving, in our caring, in our generosity, and even more. God is always here, even when we might be very conscious of our own failure, or maybe our own sin, or maybe our low status in life. And maybe when everything seems to be going wrong, God does not leave us or abandon us, even though sometimes we might feel this way. So the question is, what do we learn from this kind of God? And we learn about this kind of God from Jesus because it is Jesus's life and preaching that shows us that the divine and the human are intermingled, and that to see a human person living a totally loving, gracious life is to see the face of God. And we see the face of God in each day that we meet someone who shows us their face of kindness, their care, their love, their generosity. By meeting those people, then we will also be meeting and seeing the face of God. So this is what I want to explain is the last chapter of my book. I'll show it to you again. The Side of Kindness. I've covered all of the chapters in this book. I wrote the book experiencing different experiences of kindness as well as unkindness. And the writing led me to search for God in ways that I hadn't thought of before. And I also realized that I wasn't to worry if I couldn't find God, because God already found me. And I want you to remember that, because it meant a lot to me. If you cannot find God, keep looking, of course, but don't worry, because God has already found you. And where there is love, there is God. So I ended my book with this chapter, God is the side of kindness. And I want to say farewell because I've covered all of the chapters in this book. And if you would like all the YouTube sessions that I've had online, all in written form if you want it, it's in this book, and it's a good remembrance and recollection. The Side of Kindness you can order on Amazon. You could get it on your Kindle. You could order it and it will be sent to you. Or I suppose you could also go to Barnes and Nobles and they will order it for you. This has been a wonderful experience for me to present all of this to you. And I hope by doing it that all of us have gotten a little bit closer to what it means to be kind. So let's go on with faith as our guide. We can have doubts, it's normal. And we are surrounded, many of us, by sufferings on all sides. And no, I don't often understand why, but I will continue to believe that God suffers when I suffer, that God weeps when I weep, and that I don't have to look far to find God revealed in my neighbor, because God is on the side of kindness and on the side of love. And where there is love, there is God. Let's not forget it. Thank you for being with me all these weeks. Bye now.